good citizens. They're not. They don't have any criminal records, and that's it.
That's it.
So you're not verifying who these subcontractors are with respect to what skill set they have, and they're going to go work on government contracts where important information, sensitive information is shared.
No, I don't verify that myself.
Okay, so what was your
question,
role,
Mr. Baines?
How much time? Sorry.
If you have a quick question, please go ahead.
That's all. I'll save it for the next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Baines. Mrs. Vignola for 2.5, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Anthony, I'll continue. In 2005, you started working for Veritag. Later on, still at Veritag, you met Mr. Firth, Mr. White, Mr. Caleb White. Did you also meet him at Veritag?
Yes.
Et Monsieur...
And Mr. Collingwood as well?
Yes.
Okay, Monsieur Collingwood.
Mr. Collingwood set up Coradix, and for whom David Yao had been director. Very well. Is Caleb White still a partner at GC Strategies?
No, Caleb is not a partner at GC Strategies.
Qu'est-ce qui fait en sorte qu'il a quitté GC?
Why did he leave GC Strategies?
That's a question you'd have to ask him.
Oh, OK. Fait qu'il est parti sans vous en...
So he left without telling you why? He just left and saying, it's okay, I'm going to leave aside millions of dollars of contracts behind because according to the Business Journal of Ottawa, you are listed as one of the 4 most important companies with a growth rate of more than 600% in 4 years. So you think Mr. White just left without telling you why?
No, Caleb was fully upfront with us and let us know why he was leaving. He wanted to go and pursue other options.
Oh, OK. No.
Very well. So he wanted to check out other options. Mr. West Travis, was he involved with GC Strategies before?
He was an employee.
OK. Et Monsieur Jarvis?
And Mr. Jarvis was also in BDO when BDO absorbed Le Sage, if I understand.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Le même Monsieur Jarvis.
The same Mr. Jarvis, who had been a manager at Lexor, the company Lexor, and BDO, which subsequently purchased Lexor, the same company.
What is the question?
La question est...
The question is, Mr. Jarvis was an employee at GC Strategies, is the same Mr. Jarvis who had worked at Lexor. Lexor was purchased by BDO, and Mr. Jarvis now works with BDO. Am I correct?
Yes, West Jarvis did work as an employee for GC Strategies.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bachrach, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Anthony, did you sign the $13.9 million contract with CBSA?
No, I did not.
So you signed contracts for your projects and Mr. Firth signs contracts for his projects? Is that roughly how it works?
That's correct.
As Chief Security Officer, are you responsible for the security clearance for not only the resources that you compile, but also GC Strategies itself?
Yes.
And at the time that the $13.9 million contract with CBSA was signed by Mr. Firth, were you aware that there was a document safeguarding capability requirement associated with that contract?
No, I was not.
How do you, as Chief Security Officer, how do you review the security requirements of contracts that Mr. Firth negotiates with the government? Or do you?
I do once we get a contract awarded, we see what is required if we need to add any additional security.
And did you review the $13.9 million contract for security requirements after Mr. Firth signed it?
After it was awarded, that document security clearance was not required.
I don't believe that was the case. I think that the requirement was removed something like 14 months after the document was signed. I assume that work was already taking place on the contract at that point. Is that not correct?
I believe work was ongoing on that project, but I don't think it required document safeguarding.
But the contract itself, this is what the Auditor General and the Procurement Ombud have both found, that the contract itself, in order to sign the contract, GC Strategies needed to have this specific security clearance. You are the Chief Security Officer, but you were not aware of that requirement prior to Mr. Firth signing the contract, and you did not review the contract for security requirements prior to him signing it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What part of Chief Security Officer involves the security part? I'm having trouble struggling with this question of how you actually exercise that role with regard to the contracts that your company signs. And I'm also unclear why you and Mr. Firth don't have separate companies, because it seems like you're not actually working on the same projects, and nor are you actually exercising your role as security officer when it comes to the work that Mr. Firth is bringing into the company. Help me understand how this all works.
If you're able to offer up a short answer, Mr. Anthony.
The document safeguarding was not required for that contract.
Thanks very much. Mr. Berthaud, please go ahead, sir. Welcome to OGGO, or welcome back to OGGO.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chair. Just to be sure that I understood you well, a while ago you said you had not read the auditor. Mr. Chair, Mr. Berthaud's sound is very poor. The interpretation will improve.
Comme ça?
Oui. Go ahead.
Donc, Monsieur Anthony, vous dites que vous...
Mr. Anthony, you said you had not read the AG's report, a report that was devastating for GC Strategies. And because of that report, GC Strategies no longer has a contract with the government of Canada. And you want us to believe that?
Yes.
Monsieur Anthony, c'était...
Mr. Anthony, that's very surprising. As the person in charge of security, did you take part in falsifying the CVs of subcontractors of GC Strategies to make sure that GC Strategies obtain contracts from the federal government?
Can you clarify the question?
Avez-vous
Did you participate in falsifying or forging the CVs of subcontractors to help GC Strategies obtain contracts from the federal government? Yes or no?
No.
Reconnaissez-vous que votre...
Do you admit that your associate did so?
No.
Alors, comment se fait...
So how come the CVs of subcontractors of GC Strategies are not a true reflection of the CVs of subcontractors? And that's why we're undermining your security. It's undermining your security. The questions were put to you about the cottage on documents, meetings with public servants.
I have no knowledge of that.
Est-ce que vous estimez...
Do you feel that your associate or partner told us the entire truth? Were you present with him in the room where you are right now?
Can you ask the question again, please?
Est-ce que...
Do you feel that your partner told us the whole truth yesterday? Yes or no?
Yes.
Est-ce que vous étiez
Were you present with him in the room where you are right now when he was giving his testimony?
No, I was not.
Est-ce que vous avez regardé le
Did you watch your partner's testimony?
I watched pieces of his testimony.
Alors, comment pouvez-vous affirmer
How can you say with all certainty that he did not lie? Once again, it's very difficult. Your partner called everyone a liar, and now I find your testimony so far very unbelievable. Did you receive contracts from the government since 2015? What was the amount of the contracts you received since 2015 from the federal government?
How many contracts have we received since 2015? Is that the
how
question?
much money did you receive personally? Combien d'argent avez-vous reçu personnellement?
How much money have you personally received from the federal government?
I don't have those figures with me right now.
Est-ce que vous vous engagez à les fournir au comité?
Can you commit to send us to send the information to the committee, Mr. Anthony?
Sure.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire en même temps
Could you also tell us how much money you personally withdrew from the contract, the ArriveCAN contract?
I can look. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Est-ce que vous vous engagez à fournir
Can you also provide the committee with those amounts as well?
vous savez,
Because, Mr. Anthony, you know the committee can demand that you produce them. We could oblige you to provide all that information. Will you willingly commit to send that information to the committee?
Can someone check my translation? I'm getting some serious echo here. I can't. It's overlap. I'm hearing from the minister and then my translator. I can't quite pick it out.
Okay, well, we are out of time for Mr. Berthold. Maybe what we'll do, actually, we have Mr. Jouari next.
Mr. Point of order, Mr.
Yeah,
Speaker.
Yes?
Il semble qu'il y a eu beaucoup de
It would appear that there were lots of problems with interpretation. The witness had difficulty answering my questions in French, so I think that it's better for me to have additional time to ask my questions.
At the 5-minute mark, though. So
I know, but there was a lot of problem for the translation, and it's unfair for Francophone.
No, I accounted for that. I reset your clock to the very beginning. You were 26 seconds in when we had to interrupt. I set it back to 0. So you did have your full